Getting ready to cook like a fiend for Christmas? Well then, let's talk to an expert. I'm Elysabeth Alfano, host of the TV show, web series, and podcast, The Celebrity Dinner Party. Executive Chef Mathew Wiltzius of Chicago's Palmer House Hilton joins me in the WGN studios to dish on keeping it real and getting ready for Christmas cooking. So grab some eggnog and listen in. After a quick word about podcasts and a word from our sponsor, Adora Therapy, I'll be right back with Chef Mathew Wiltzius. Life is challenging, and everyone needs a tool they can use to shift their mood in the moment. Adora Therapy is an aromatherapy company that makes mood boost personal sprays and room scents for every occasion. Blends like lavender chamomile, cinnamon clove, and blood orange bergamot are only some of the fragrances from Adora Therapy's unique line of specialty scents, carefully mixed to trigger chakra points and to help you boost your mood. Plus, Adora Therapy sprays and roll-ons are pre-blended, vegan, cruelty-free, and ready to go. The perfect size to fit in your purse and take with you to boost your mood anytime, anywhere. So treat yourself to a mood boost and share the gift of stunningly packaged mood boosts with others. Visit adoratherapy.com and don't forget to like us on Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, The Celebrity Dinner Party, with me, Elysabeth Alfano, on iTunes. Just search for The Celebrity Dinner Party. Or, if SoundCloud is your thing, you can find me there too by searching for The Celebrity Dinner Party. Subscribe and you'll never have to hunt for engaging and inspiring interviews again. They'll just land on your computer or your iPhone every time a new podcast comes out. So subscribe now to The Celebrity Dinner Party with me, Elysabeth Alfano, because the best conversations really do happen over dinner. I have Chef Matt Wiltzius here from the Lockwood of the Palmer House Hotel. Well, I have to say, welcome to you. You have spoiled me. You've brought me 3 things to eat, which, be prepared, people. I'm going to eat them. What have you brought me?
We brought a few things today. We brought our handmade spaghetti that we do in the restaurant. Pasta is something that's like really important to me, so we hand extrude all of our spaghetti. Then we have a burrata on a little bit of toasted sourdough, a little bit of fresh greens on top, a little bit of honey from our roof, which we just harvested about maybe 3 weeks ago. And then you also have a little pocket. I just saw you bring out a little bit of maple syrup there.
Yes, I did.
We barrel age maple syrup in our basement downstairs, so we had quite a bit of maple syrup that we get, and then we take different barrels of liquor that we get, Woodford Reserve, different tequilas. We do Grand Marnier, things like that. Fill it with the maple syrup, stow it away for a few months, and it brings a really crazy, unique flavor. So each maple syrup had its own special flavor.
Okay, so there's so much I want to talk about here, and pasta, we're getting to pasta in just a minute, but I think you had me at barrel aging your own maple syrup.
So this particular one is Woodford Reserve. So we've been partnering with Woodford Reserve for quite a while now. We have our own barrel program, which means, we went down to Woodford, picked out all of our flavors and nuances, how long we wanted to age it for, different casks and things like that. And then they actually send us the large 55-gallon barrel to us. And then we take those barrels, or smaller barrels if they send us smaller barrels, fill it up with maple syrup, stick it in a nice, cool, dry place, and then bingo.
So are you telling me that my maple syrup, the maple syrup that I'm holding in my hand right now from the Palmer House Hotel, is going to have a little bit of alcohol to it?
It's going to have a little bit of alcohol, but not very much, because it does kind of seep through the wood of the bourbon. Part of the bourbon experience, they call that the angel share. All the bourbon that's left in the wood comes out if you were to put anything in it. So theoretically, you could take water and dump it in there, and you would kind of squeeze a little bit more bourbon out if you wanted to. We just happen to use maple syrup. So.
You are singing my song, baby. That is great. Maple syrup and a tad bit of bourbon. That just works for me.
Perfectly. And it goes great on pancakes, French toast, all those great things for the morning. So people really love it.
And now talk to me a little bit more about this pasta, because I've had, in the break, I had a bite of that. Well, I had 3 or 4 bites of this. And the pasta itself is so rich. You can tell that it's handmade.
At Lockwood, we kind of call ourselves like a pseudo steakhouse. We don't really do the traditional steakhouse atmosphere. Not everybody in the city can afford $80 for a steak. So we acknowledge that. That's not who we are. We do other particular cuts. But with that, we need to have the vegetarian options, the pastas, the salmon, the fish, and all that. I personally love pasta. It's one of my most favorite things. I love to make pasta. I love to cook pasta. All about it. So what we did is we extruded. We got a brass pasta extruder from Italy. I think I got it maybe like 10 years ago. And basically you just shove the pasta in it, turn or crank a little bit, and then out shoots fresh extruded spaghetti. So all of our pasta that we do in Lockwood is either hand extruded, either sheeted, things like that.
And here's one of the crazy things about pasta is it's a little bit like songwriting, which is how we started these 2 hours together, because I was talking to Steve Dawson earlier about songwriting. Anyone can make pasta. Absolutely. And I know everyone thinks like, I have to buy this in the store because I could never do this myself. But it's actually not true. There are very few ingredients to pasta. It's eggs, water, flour, right?
That's it. And sometimes not even eggs.
Oh, you can have eggless pasta?
Most like mass-produced pasta you get in the store, it's just semolina flour and water, and then they really just under high pressure, and that's how they make it. That's why you can get like shelf-stable fresh pasta, because there's really no egg in it. It's kind of just flour and water. But as far as like restaurants go, or you're going to make it at your house, fresh pasta, you don't even need a bowl. Just throw it on your table, mix it with your hand. You don't even need a rolling pin. I'm sure you got PVC pipe or something laying around, anything like that.
Pasta made with PVC pipe.
Done.
It's a new one.
Roll it, cut it, throw it in the water, and you're done. It will change. It changes everything.
Wow, so you roll it and cut it and then throw it in the water, right? You don't have to like leave it out or let it come together? Or
everybody has like their own technique. There's a lot of people that say, let it sit for 5 minutes before you cut it, let it dry a little bit. If you're going to make a lot of it, it's nice to let it dry a little bit or portion it into little piles and then you can freeze it. But other than that, if you are hungry right now, roll it out, throw it in the water, and you're good to go.
Oh, I like the way you think. Okay, so there are a bunch of special things going on at the Palmer House Lockwood restaurant. So, okay, you're aging your own maple syrup, which, of course, so very important. You're making your own pasta. I just learned that you have, probably not working for you right now in almost January, but you have your own rooftop garden.
So we do have our own rooftop garden, and we have about, I would say, what do we have, like 12,000 bees up there working for us last year. And we harvested pretty late this year. So we, along with all of the herbs and a lot of things like that, and we do get some greenery up there, we also get our own honey from our roof. So we use honey in just about everything. So whipped ricotta on a dish, dressings, things like that. And it also helps to pollinate all the flowers and the herbs and things like that. So this year we really try to focus on getting as much of like petite garden garnishing herbs as we can, things that are really strong and pungent flavors. So like on the dish that you have right there, those little red flowers are called sorrel.
On the burrata.
They're extremely strong in lemon flavor. So
I'm going to try one.
A little bit goes a long way. So, our roof is not the most biggest roof in the world, but it's definitely enough to suffice the restaurant for the spring and summer months.
Oh my God, tell me the name of this again. So much flavor is coming out of this little leaf.
That one little leaf, yeah. It's called sorrel. That's red lucky leaf sorrel, actually.
Oh my gosh, spell it for me. Sorrel?
Sorrel.
Oh my gosh. Wow, so I hadn't realized you were doing so much in-house at Lockwood.
Well, we try to do as much as we can, but we also realize that, we're the second biggest hotel in the city.
Sure.
We have, 1,400 and some odd rooms, and our clientele is extremely diverse. So there really is only so much that we can do. So we do try to partner as much as we can, and I call it partnerships because I don't, we go out and we find someone that's really good in their craft.
Yes.
Like let's say I wanted a sausage on the menu. I can't make sausage for 300 people every day, but I know who can. Paul Kahn can make sausage.
Paul Kahn can make sausage. It's true.
So if I would like sausage, I would go to someone like that. I can't make bread for everybody, so I go and find someone that can do it. La Farine Bakery, a small bakery, great. I go to them to get their bread.
Yes.
So it's not that we don't make everything in-house, but if we don't make it, we're going to find somebody in Chicago, which is local as we can get, and we're going to get them to make it for us.
So tell me what's going on with this burrata that you just brought me.
So it's a whipped burrata dish that we do at the restaurant. We whip it with a little bit of ricotta and cream, makes it very silky and smooth. We season it up with herbs. In the summer, we season it up with all the fresh herbs from the roof. Lavender is one of the main ones, so you kind of get that really fresh flavor. And then to kind of make it sweet, we tons of rooftop honey as much as that we can do, and serve it on a piece of crusty bread, and that's pretty much it. You can't go wrong with that.
Oh my God, and I'm tasting lemon in here. Lemon and honey.
So then there's a little bit of a dressing on top, which is, again, a little bit more of that honey from the roof, and then just simple lemon, a little bit of Dijon sprinkled on top. And
it's amazing how really you don't need that much. I know maybe it sounds like you have a lot of ingredients there that you listed, but you just need fresh ingredients.
I'm a really firm believer of, there's two different kinds of restaurants in the world. There's the kind of restaurants that are, white tablecloth, which are in their own right extremely difficult to do and very, very hard. And then there's the kind of restaurants that do extremely simple food, but believe it or not, sometimes the simple food can be just as hard because as a chef, you like to overthink everything. And if you just keep it simple, keep it back to the basics, and usually everybody will really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's usually almost like a foolproof system. Going back to the basics, keeping it simple with natural ingredients, hard to go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Although, talk to me a little bit about the pressure that you might have working at the Palmer House. It's such an enormous institution, not just a large institution, but historically so important in Chicago. And I believe it's the birthplace of the brownie.
Absolutely.
So how do you follow things like that up?
The Palmer House, and I've always said this, and we kind of talked about it before, it has been the hardest position I've ever had, but it's also the best position I've ever had. I've never felt more fulfilled than working at the Palmer House, and it's because of that pressure. It's because of the day-to-day grind that never really ends. But we have a great team. We really do. From every single one of my cooks to every single one of my stewards to the team above me to my directors to my executive chefs, every single person stands by us 100%. And without those people, it's just truly not possible.
And you have worked at many hotels in your life. So the James Hotel, the Waldorf Astoria, which I believe you were here in Chicago, the Waldorf Astoria. But the Palmer House is really something special.
Well, and before I started at the Palmer House, just about everybody I talked to was like, oh my gosh, the Palmer House. I'm not originally from Chicago. I've been here for about 12 years now. But
you're from Wisconsin, so come on, we're gonna cut you some slack.
I kind of know a little bit. Maybe I was here when I was younger, so I wasn't too familiar with the Palmer House and how much everybody knew about it. But as I started talking to people and mentioning it to different people's grandmothers and aunts and uncles, they were like, "Ooh, the Palmer House," and I'm like, "How does everybody know about this place?" And then once you get in there and you see the beautiful lobby and you see just the experience that you can really truly create, it's like, okay, this is why people remember this hotel, because they just don't make hotels like that
anymore.
No,
they don't at all. It's such a very special experience. So I'm always amazed when I have a chef and I say, okay, you're cooking for hundreds of people and you're working your craft and you're honing in on making the best possible dishes with the best possible ingredients. What do you cook for yourself at home? And they always say grilled cheese,
skinny pop, and ramen noodles.
No way. Wait, ramen noodles out of the styrofoam plastic box.
The cheaper the better. But no,
so bad.
Not just straight up ramen. I spice it up a little bit, and that's just literally a dash of sriracha and butter. But skinny pop, the bigger the bag, the better. If you think you found the biggest bag, you haven't. Go to Costco. They have a bag the size of small.
You can go bigger.
There is a bigger bag of skinny pop out there. I'm quite confident that there is. I think a lot of chefs kind of think that way. It's just because we spend a lot of time in the kitchen with and around food. The last thing you want to do is go home and be like, all right, let's make a 14-pound rib roast and vegetables and throw it in the oven and this and that. And then it's you go to Whole Foods and the next thing you know, you spend $700 and you have the best ingredients possible, and it's just you spent your whole day cooking.
Yes.
I just did that the last couple days. I kind of want to just enjoy my time off. And to be honest, there are certain things that I do love, and I do love a good bowl of ramen. And there are places in the city that have amazing bowls of ramen. But at home, honestly, ramen and skinny pop is kind of my soft spot.
Well, so it's funny that you mentioned this because I have a show called The Dinner Party that I do outside of this radio show. And so I always ask people, who would you like to have dinner with? Or you as a chef, who would you like to cook for? And I'll answer for myself, I love to cook for chefs because they're so grateful, because they're always cooking for everybody else. So I love to have chefs at my own house. And people say, the pressure, how can you take it? They're always so grateful that somebody else has spent the time because they really know what it is to cook. So I always like to have chefs over to cook. Who would you like to cook for?
Me, my most favorite is sometimes I kind of just hang out in the lobby at the Palmer House, and you see these wandering lost souls kind of, where they're I would like to go see a ballroom. The ceiling is pretty. I'm kind of don't know what's going on. I just yank them.
No.
Sit them down, get them a drink, get some food ready, obviously see if they got, maybe an hour to spare or whatever. And that is my most favorite experiences. And we do it quite often. And they absolutely love it. And that one experience, they could have the worst time in Chicago ever. They could have a bad cab ride, the airport sucked, all this kind of stuff. But that one experience, and that's kind of what dining is all about. That's kind of what food is all about. That one little thing, they will remember that for the rest of their life. Even if the food was just, I didn't really care for it, it was subpar, they will remember that time. And I really do think that random person that maybe is not accustomed to having something a little bit more on the fine dining side to experience that and like open up their eyes, that's my favorite.
I think that is beautiful. That speaks so much to the history of the hotel that you would just take people, and that management at the hotel supports this and gives you the budget to be able to just take people and unexpectedly change the course of their entire day.
Well, and quite often, later on at night, we do see a lot of people that's just like, can I just get a peek at the Empire Room? Frank Sinatra, is he still in there? I kind of
Yes, he is. We've embalmed him and back.
Exactly. And those are the kind of people that really came there to experience the Palmer House. And sometimes we just don't, if it's late at night or whatever, we're unable to do that. So whatever we can do to really show them this is the Palmer House. It's the least we could do to, some people that save up for, half a year to have that trip to Chicago or whatever, and then they come to the Palmer House, and then let's say all the ballrooms are booked for the day, and they're kind of like, I really wanted to see that. All right, I got you. Let's do this, and we'll have a little bit of this, and we'll just have fun. And most often it ends with me just sitting at the table with them, talking about this and that, asking about where they're from, eating dishes right out of the same plate they are or whatever, and it just becomes like my friend for the day or whatever, and they absolutely love it. So.
That is so fantastic.
And I love it.
Because that really is what food is all about. It's about connection.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer of that. You know what? To me, when I go out to a restaurant, I don't even really care about the food. You go out for the experience.
You do.
Like we were talking before, you can make pasta at home, you can make steaks at home. What you can't do at home, you can't paint the theater of the Palmer House in your house. Nobody can do that.
Right.
You can only come to the Palmer House for that, or any other restaurant that has whatever feature they're looking at. So it really is about creating an experience, not so much about the food. It's the service, the atmosphere that you're in. So
you do eat out at restaurants from time to time, because I always like to ask chefs that as well, because sometimes they're in their own kitchen so much they don't even want to be in a restaurant setting. Yep. But not you.
I have this strong I love cocktails and interesting cocktails and fun cocktails, because that's one thing I can't do. I'm not good at it. I'm not, I try my best. I do whatever. So when I go out, I really like to look for something that is someone that's going to show me something that I have not seen before, and something that I know that I cannot recreate at home. Mm-hmm. So I tend to gravitate towards places to where I'm going to try a new cocktail that I've ingredients that I would have never thought to put in a cocktail, and that kind of gravitates my mm-hmm. restaurant experience.
So you're always going for the experience. So a couple quick questions before sadly we have to end. So what is the one thing that everybody should know how to cook?
Stock.
Ooh, like a vegetable or chicken broth stock?
Any kind of stock. It's really not a particular dish, but if your stock, for whatever reason, vegetable, chicken, beef, if that is perfect, the rest of the meal will be perfect from then on out. And to be honest, I have not mastered it. I've only known one person in the city that has mastered it. It was my butcher at the Waldorf Astoria, Jimmy Burns. He'll love to hear it. And I've called him so many times, Jimmy, what am I doing wrong? I'm doing something wrong. I'm literally following your directions to the T, and something's just not right, and it's a little bit off. And because of that, it has changed my bolognese, which I used to sell at the Waldorf, which we still sell at the Palmer House. But there is something that's just not correct, and it's because Jimmy's
not
amazing,
there,
and Jimmy's not. He's not making my stock anymore. So.
Oh my gosh, I've had that conversation with other chefs before, particularly Chef John Mannion of La Serena Clandestina. They're just something. You see this a lot with sort of Mexican grandmas. It's just not going to be the same if the Mexican grandma isn't making it. So, all of the food can be very particular to the person actually making
Absolutely.
it. And what if you're a chef? What is the one dish that chefs judge each other on? So they sort of, is there a standard his souffle, that's not it, so we're not going to call him a real chef? Or is there one dish that every chef really competes on?
Not so much a dish, but in culinary school, there was one thing that they drove into our head, and it was called NFG, non-functional garnish. So when somebody puts something on a plate like this massive 6-foot sprig of rosemary, okay, every chef looks at that and says, "What are you gonna do with that? Are you gonna floss your teeth with that? Are you gonna take it home and scent your bathroom when you're done with it?" Like, there's no purpose to that. So anytime we see a NFG, a non-functional garnish on a dish, the first thing that pops into our head is, all right, maybe we'll go to the next restaurant.
Interesting. I love that, how form follows function even in cooking.
Yeah, and sometimes no garnish is better than a garnish at all. Like sometimes just a simple flash of parsley or chopped chive is more important than a hand-picked microgreen or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful to have you in Chicago. Thank you for speaking with me.
Thanks for joining in on The Celebrity Dinner Party with me, Elysabeth Alfano. To stay in the know, follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at DinnerPartyCHGO, and on Facebook at Elysabeth Alfano and at The Dinner Party. To subscribe to this podcast, find The Celebrity Dinner Party on iTunes and on SoundCloud. And if you want to send me an email about today's podcast or anything else, you can find all my information at www.thedinnerparty.tv. The editor of The Celebrity Dinner Party is Andrew Jensen. The original music is by the Websters and Ship Captain Crew. Thanks for listening today, and join me on the next Celebrity Dinner Party podcast, where the best conversations happen over dinner.